I met a gypsy.
You undertook a very different project than what most riders undertake. You know, like you switched to KTM, team that had never won a 450 race.
Yeah.
You know, like you took a pretty massive leap, and a bike that was, you're on Suzuki, extremely developed. You'd won championships on it, and it had such a, you know, a massive history. And then you go to this completely new brand, and it's not even like you were developing a race bike. Like, dude, you were literally making the production KTM essentially. Like KTM was just at the tip of the spear of just iterating and then releasing a bike that you guys rode basically to the public. And then year on year on year, like you were in a crazy period of development for yourself, but also just the consumer.
No, for sure. And I feel like I needed that. I think it worked out. It was a blessing in disguise. Like being at Suzuki, it was proven, and then being able to go to KTM. And mind you, Roger and Ian left a whole year. I was at Suzuki for a whole nother year, and Roger and Ian already went there. Pitt Breyer and Stefan Pierre, they started investing heavy into USA. And so in 2011, like that started. And I remember like, all right, you know, they were like, well, finish year on Suzuki. And then, you know, if, you know, we'll try to make some advances, and if maybe you can come over in 2012. It's like, all right, you know, and I think I was going to go over regardless, you know, just I wanted to be back with them. But it was cool to be a part of something that was just, there was a bigger purpose, you know, and it was like that from the beginning. You know, we signed with KTM and went over to the factory after the Des Nations in France that year, and you know, you see all the factory, the workers, and they have this big lunch, and everybody's in there, and you can just see like
what it means.
Yeah, you know, and I think for me and Lindsay and my parents that were there, we were like there was no doubt. There was never doubt in my mind we made the right decision. Like people like say career suicide, this and that. But I was like, you know, with Roger and Ian at the front of this thing, like Roger has taken Suzuki. I think he'd probably, you know, take be more humble about it. But like I see Roger, that leadership and that experience and that what he did at Honda, and he turned it around and made a winning team. What he did at Suzuki, and then like. So I knew that they could help us get to be a winning team. I didn't think it was going to take 4 years, right? Like it was a long road, but it happened, and so I never like doubted that. But it was just nicer to be a part of something bigger and more purposeful, and it just meant more motivating, and not just for us and the team, but them and all the workers over there, and so it was a big lift.
What makes Roger so good, do you think?
Roger's just he's just, well, one, he raced all them years, right? Very successful racer. Went into as a test rider, so he has all that knowledge of testing and knowing what does what, you know, which is huge. And then there's all the years of being a team manager, you know, leading a team and all, and just as a person too. I mean, Roger, he's humble. You know, he's got this work ethic. He's hungry. He wants to win. I mean, there's so many good qualities, you know. So he knows how to lead that team of people, you know, and or turn it around if things aren't going good, and if the bike's off, you know, all these things, and bringing on the right people, of course, too, is important. Suspension, engine, chassis, all that stuff. So he just like has this wealth of knowledge, and still today, like he's. You know,
it's pretty wild.
I still call him and I talk to him, and you know, he's driving over the Ortega, you know, and we're talking, and he's still so sharp. I'll ask him about the suspension, this and that, and he'll break it down to the T, and he won't miss a beat and describe it. And it's just like, it's amazing. So yeah, he just just an amazing individual. Yeah,
and is he kind of like just a guy you want to work for in a sense?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean
that's leadership there, eh?
Yeah, he's got the championship mindset too, you know. And aside from all that, I mean, just being I was so fortunate to in 2007 or 6 to sign with Suzuki, just get this opportunity and to be able to work with Roger. Like Had I not had it been somebody else, my career wouldn't have had the trajectory that it did.
You can say that like 100%.
100%. Yeah. He just, I mean, if it was met, and it was things that were so good for me that were embarrassing at first. Like one time I won a race in Texas, and I laid my bike down, and I, like put my arms up, and he come up to me. We just won the race, the overall. He's like, if you ever do that again, you're sitting out the next race. And I thought, well, what the hell, Roger? We just won the race. But then I was a little upset about it because it was right after I won. I was like on my high.
Yeah.
And he just like those humbling, like that he knows when you need to hear it, and I was like, all right, he's right. And the next weekend he brings me a magazine of he's really big into tennis. His son was, but he brings me
That's right. His son was a really good tennis player, right?
Mika, yeah. Yeah. And there was an article in there when Rafael Nadal and about him throwing his tennis racket and his dad, the whole conversation. You don't do this. People can't afford this. And I remember reading it to this day, like to the T. And just those things, that make you a better, not just a better rider, a better person, and just like life and all these things. So it's just, and I still get to work with Roger in it, which is truly a joy. It's just, it's a great human.
And do you think you needed that guidance in a sense? Like you just in the position in your life that you're in, and your parents were both working, and like you almost like needed that guy.
Yeah, for sure. I lacked confidence. I especially coming into my career.
What do you think that was from?
Just my upbringing. I always struggled to believe in myself. I don't know why. It was a challenge, and not to say I don't push against it and keep moving forward and facing that. It's always a challenge, but I think just when you're gonna, from Minnesota, it was just all the things that I were letting get to me. You're from Minnesota. Nobody ever makes out of Minnesota. Nobody good's ever come out. I mean, a few good guys had. Donnie Schmidt, Heath Voss, really good guys, but like nobody wins championships out of Minnesota. These things that you had to like overcome, and he got the shot, and he doesn't deserve it, and nor did I really feel like I did deserve it because I won, but I didn't start winning amateur races until I was like 15, way late. So I was like, oh, man, maybe I don't deserve it, but I was like, well, here's my shot. I'm gonna give it all I got. But those first couple years, it's funny. I signed a 2-year deal with Suzuki, and Roger. They were really patient with me. They like allowed me to learn, let me make my mistakes. I had good success early on, but I failed under the championship 2 years in a row. Just the pressure. And Roger, I thought I had 2 years locked in, and Roger's like, yeah, Ryan, if you didn't perform that first year, you were gone. I was like, well, good thing I didn't know that,
because I would have been a head case.
Yeah. So there might have been something in the contract that would have maybe got him, but. Which I understand. I mean, like I hadn't done anything, so it's, rightfully so. But anyway, it just, without Roger, it just would have been, I got to work with, he is the best. I mean, if you look consistently in all areas, on the bike, off the bike, bike setup, he's just, yeah. So.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.